Brilliant. Well, lovely to see you. So we're coming down onto our mat straight away tonight. And you might want to give your knees a squeeze, have a little rock side to side. Do whatever you need to do to release any tension that might be lurking around the tops of the buttocks, around the low back tonight. And then when you've done whatever movements, hugging the knees, circling the knees, just bring your feet down to the floor. So we'll end up with the knees pointing up towards the ceiling. But again, if the back is tight, you can always widen your feet and have your knees in that nice V position, the inside edges touch together. And I want to start the class just by repeating something that one of my yoga teachers said in the middle of a class, and she said it very kind of threw it in there, but it really resonated with me. And she said, your issues lie in your tissues. Your issues lie in your tissues. And it really reminded me of a beautiful quote by the poet Walt Whitman. And he said, all we do, have done, and will do, we experience through the body. All we do, have done, and will do, we experience through the body. And it really did sort of resonate with me, thinking about this strange period that we're going through at the moment, and how we might be responding to that almost unconsciously, subconsciously, with our body. You know, regardless of what's going on in our mind, just how our body is responding to this strange period that we're living through at the moment. And I think a lot of us might be beginning to feel the effects of holding on to anxiety, tension, worry, uncertainty. There might be a tightening of shoulders, hips, a feeling that maybe the brow feels quite tight, maybe a heaviness in our head. And I think that quote is so true. Whatever issues that we're experiencing, whatever is manifesting in our lives, somehow that lodges in our body, and it can stay there for quite some time. There's all sorts of studies that go on about how our body hangs on to memory and trauma. So we're going to do something today throughout our practice, which is based on a lovely type of yoga called somatic yoga. And somatics means embody or of the body. So some small but quite deep movements, which hopefully will begin to get really into those little pockets of tension that might have been building up over these last 9, 10, I don't know how many weeks in we are now. And maybe bring us into a greater sense of awareness of our body. That's the aim anyway. So let's start just by closing the eyes if you've not already done so. There's a lovely poem by a yoga teacher called Donna Foles. And she wrote these words which really seem appropriate for the theme today. She wrote, let go of something, somewhere. Use yoga to become aware, to touch what lies beneath the surface of the skin. Is there tension, longing for release, a knot of fear so deep and familiar that you believe it's part of who you are? Ease into dark corners, locked rooms, unexplored hallways. Gain entry not by force or will, but only by softness. Enter on the wings of breath and turn the key of self-acceptance to let go of something, somewhere. So as you begin to become more aware of your body, lying on the mat this evening, where perhaps can you feel that the body has something to let go of? Maybe it's not particularly obvious at this point in the practice, but throughout the practice, maybe something will come up and you think, yeah, that's where I need to really kind of let go of that tension in my shoulders, tension in my face. Maybe gripping of my hands, which can travel up the arms, the shoulders, the neck, and ultimately the face. But just explore for a moment using that softness of breath to see if you can find any pockets of tension you really want to get into this evening. Gaining access by the breath. So using that idea of the breath to help us unlock those pockets of tension, let's see if we can just take a few moments to tune into the breath by bringing our hands just to rest on our chest. So your fingertips are just resting, maybe just on your collarbones there. Your elbows can release down just to the mat. Just begin to breathe into your hands there. So we're breathing into our chest, that area where most of us, most of the time, can feel the breath. So just allow the breath just to swell into your hands and then softly fall. Sometimes when we're busy, agitated, worried, this is where the breath kind of sits most of the day. There's obviously nothing wrong with that, but what it does over time is it tires the muscles, little muscles around the shoulders, around the neck, because we're not using those big, deep muscles around the diaphragm to help draw the breath in and down, and we can get quite fatigued if we just breathe into our chest. So let's just acknowledge the breath in our chest for a moment. And then slowly, slowly, just bring your hands down so your middle fingers are pointing in towards one another and your hands are just cupping your outer ribs there. And just see if you can begin to experience the breath into your hands. So you're feeling that. That breath is now having almost like a concertina effect on the body. So it's opening. Little sideways movement as you inhale, and then maybe you notice that your middle fingers are sliding a little bit closer as you exhale. So we don't force that. It might be a very, very small movement. Some of us might feel an awareness, but not necessarily a movement there. So we don't try and force it, because that, again, just brings tension into the body. But just see if you can just almost picture that outwards expansion, not forgetting that the breath is also swelling into the chest there. And then we'll slide the hands down just to rest on the lower belly. You might even make a little diamond shape, connecting your thumb and your first finger and just placing that diamond just over your belly button there. Yoni Mudra, and then we breathe into that little diamond. And this belly breathing is the most relaxed form of breathing. I heard it described as an anesthetic for the body. I like that. Deep abdominal breathing, an anesthetic for the body. So see if you can begin to drop the breath down into those lowermost reaches of your lungs now. And then just relax the arms down alongside you, maybe the palms up or down, whatever feels most comfortable, a little space between your arms and your body. And take a couple of breaths there. See if you can access all of those three areas, your chest, those outer expansion into the sides of the ribs and into the belly. Just take a couple of breaths there. You might feel it more in one of those three spaces than the other. It really doesn't matter. But again, just visualize that breath just exploring and unlocking all of those three areas for the breath to be received and then released. We'll stay with that breath now as we just slide the legs out nice and long. So our first little somatic practice, sliding the legs out nice and long. And bringing the arms back just above the head. So the upper arms are alongside the ears. You can always widen the arms into a wider V if that feels most comfortable. We're going to begin just by unlocking and opening some space in the side of the body. So just reach back with your right fingertips and at the same time push your right heel away from you, gently drawing the toes towards your face. So we're getting that lovely opening and expanding. And as you reach the right side of the body away from you, notice what's happened to your left hip. So as I've stretched out through the right side and lengthened some space, I can feel that left hip kind of sliding up my mat a little bit towards my left armpit. And then let's change sides. So as you push the left heel away and reach back through the left fingertips. So as again, as you lengthen that left side, so you feel that right hip just slide up towards the mat. like a little bum shuffle on your mat. And then we just alternate sides. So inhaling one side, opening and extending, reaching back through the right heel, right fingertips, and then changing sides. You can do inhaling and exhale, or you can pause on an inhale in the middle and just work extending as you inhale. It really doesn't matter. Again, somatics is all about kind of coming into your own body. So really using my instructions as a real guide today to just explore that. So this is like the yogic equivalent of being put on a very gentle rack. I won't pull any toenails or fingernails out tonight, I promise. So we're gently elongating and getting that little slide of the opposite hip up towards the armpit. And we're trying to keep the back from overarching. So really try and just keep a softness there. So we're not straining in that move. Let's do a couple more either side. I keep hoping that one day I'll do this and I'll come out of a yoga class at least 4 inches taller, but it's never happened. You never know, tonight might be the night. Lovely. So let's now just come to a lovely full body extension. So let's press the heels away, reach back through the fingertips, and just take a breath or so there. So we just balanced everything out. Beautiful. And then we'll bring the hands once more, just down alongside you, turning the palms up towards the ceiling. And walk your heels back in towards your bottom. And this time we'll keep the feet about hip width apart rather than widening them. You might want to pick up your hips and just realign your pelvis there after that move. And let's see again if we can just bring an awareness now into the back of the body, see if we can just let go of any tension we might be holding. So we're going to begin by just arching the back. So imagine you want to puff your chest up towards the ceiling. So if I came virtually into your home now, I'd be able to slide a hand perhaps underneath your middle of your back, and I'd find some space between the back and the floor, a little arching of the back, puffing up through the chest. And now we press the back into the mat. So we try and flatten the back out, but at the same time, tuck your tailbone under as though you want to curl your tailbone up towards your face. So you maybe feel a little kind of stretch out through the low back. So as you inhale, you press the tailbone down and puff up the chest. We get that little arching through the back. And as you exhale, we flatten that arch out, but we curl the tailbone up towards us. So we're getting a nice release through the low back. And again, we'll just work with the breath, inhaling. We press the tailbone down, a little puffing up at the chest, and then flattening the back. And just see if you can do that a few more times, trying to keep the knees relatively still. I kind of want to rock in and out. And again, we're just coming into that sense of what's going on in our bodies, our backs tonight. Be very gentle if you have got any back issues. But again, the good thing about this somatic yoga is about embodiment. It's about recognizing what works for our own bodies and accommodating whatever tightness or stiffness, resistance we find. Lovely. Let's just do once more. This is a lovely one to do at the end of a day if you do suffer from back issues. It's a really gentle one. We're using the floor to support us. So we're limiting that possibility of overarching or straining the back. So coming to that neutral spine now, we're going to take your hands back above the head, interlace them. Just lifting up your head will bring the head to rest in your hands. Elbows out nice and wide. Oh, just imagine you're lying on a beautiful sunny beach there. Large cocktail just to have afterwards. That would be nice, wouldn't it? So we're going to add a little bit now. So as you arch your back, press your elbows into the floor. So you get a little bit of stretch across the chest as you arch the back. Take an inhale. And as you exhale, flatten the back. Tuck the tailbone up towards your face. And at the same time, lift your head and your shoulders and squeeze your elbows towards your knees, coming up into a little curl up. As you inhale, lower the head, lower the shoulders, press the elbows down. We arch the back, little space between the back and the floor. And exhale, flatten the back. Really draw the elbows towards one another, supporting the head as you round up. Lovely. So again, we just work with the breath. So really try and press the elbows into the floor as you inhale. So we're really encouraging the opening through the chest. And then drawing the elbows together, point them towards your knees, just cradling the head, really trying to avoid hauling the head up. So imagine the hands are just like a cradle there, gently supporting the head as you lift up. And obviously, if that's a little bit too much on the neck, you can just keep the head on the floor and work through the back. Let's do a couple more of those, a little bit of core work.
And again, when we think about strengthening our back, we need to think about strengthening the front of the body. Lovely. So let's just do just once more. So the next time you bring the elbows down, let's pause there, bringing the back into that nice neutral position. Just stretch the arms out back behind you. And as you bring them down alongside you this time, we'll bring the palms down, 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 lengthening fingertips towards your heels. You maybe want to walk your heels in a little closer as we come into a bridge. So as you inhale, that little pelvic tilt again, tailbone curls towards you, but this time we push into the feet, grounding the big toes as you roll sequentially up through the spine. And then again, that little tuck of the tailbone under as you roll all the way back down. So this is like a little bit of self-massage here. So inhaling, gentle pressure beneath your hands. So you're really using your feet, your back to lift you up. Lovely, just coming up between the shoulder blades. And then again, that slow release down. So again, this practice helps us just notice. So as you do a couple more, you might notice that you want to dip into one side of the body, seeing if you can maintain an evenness across the front of the pelvis. You might notice the knees want to swing out to the side. So can you just gently draw the knees towards one another? This last one, just make sure that you feel an evenness of pressure between the inner and outer edges of your feet. Lovely. And then we'll roll our way down. Oh, that feels better already. Knotting through the spine. And when the tailbone touches down this next time, let's bring the knees in towards the chest. Give them a little hug. Maybe a little rock from side to side. Lovely. And then we'll bring the feet down. And this time, we'll just bring the arms out in a wide V, back above the head, back of the hands on the floor. Take a nice inhale. And as you exhale, cross the arms over the chest, one hand to each shoulder. Soften the elbows. And then as you inhale, take the arms out nice and wide. That lovely V shape above the head. As you cross the arms over the chest, this next time you might have the other arm on top. If that's not too taxing at the end of the week. If not, don't worry. So inhaling, we'll do that twice more. Nice wide V. Cross the arms over the chest, maybe alternating arms. Lovely. Last time, nice wide V. And last time to cross the arms over the chest. So we're going to add on this next time. So inhale, the arms come in that nice wide V. And as you exhale, bring the knees into your chest and bring your nose towards your knee into that tight, tight little ball, almost introducing tension. And then as you inhale, bring the feet down, head down, arms out in that nice wide V, we relax. Exhale, squeezing into that tight, tight little ball. You can always keep your head on the floor. And then release, feet come down, arms come back, lovely. Do that a couple more times. So we introduce tension as we come into that tight, tight little squeeze. Then just let it go as you bring the head down and open the arms out nice and wide. Last one, gather the knees in towards the chest and we'll meet there. And just pause there for a moment, squeeze the knees. And then keep the knees into the chest, head comes down. And we'll bring both hands to the left knee. Keep the left knee squeezed in and down as you extend that right leg up towards the ceiling. Keep a softness in the knee and a little bit of movement through that right foot now. Turning of the ankle, a few times each way. Might be some clicking and crunching there. There goes mine. A little pointing and flexing just to free up some space. Lovely. We're going to just come into an inner thigh stretch. So you might just want to keep your left hand on your knee and bring your right elbow down to the floor. So as you take that right leg out nice and wide, you can catch it from underneath, holding on just to support, just around the thigh. Now just allow that left leg to swing open. We keep the knee bent and begin to push that right heel away from you if that feels comfortable. So we've hopefully we're not straining or overloaded the back because we've only got one heavy lever of that leg extended and we can support. So just take a couple of breaths there, stretching that heel away from you, feeling that interesting stretch on the inner thigh. Lovely. And then we'll bring both legs back to center and we'll cross now, right leg over left. Jan, you might want to keep your knees and your ankles together rather than crossing. Anyone else with a lower back issue, we can see how we go. Bring that left foot down to the floor with the right leg crossed on top. Lovely. Arms out shoulder height. Just pick up your hips, nudge your bottom over to the right, and then we'll bring the knees over to the left. Now, if that's too much on the back, feel free to uncross the legs, take the feet nice and wide apart, and just drop your knees just a little way over to the left. For those of us who want a little bit more, begin to bring the knees closer up towards your chest, which brings that rotation, that twist higher up your spine. If we want less, slide the feet a little further away from you. So you're bringing a bigger angle just between the top of your leg and your waist there. You can always bring that left hand down to guide the knees down, especially if you want to just ring out through the spine, but be really mindful of how the back is feeling today. A couple of breaths there, just letting that twist. I'm going to wring it all out. And then slowly, if you've got your hand on your legs, we let that hand just come back out shoulder height so we can bring the legs back to center. Uncross everything. Level up your hips onto the middle of the mat and give the knees a squeeze. So obviously if that pulls the back to have the legs crossed, we just keep the feet and the knees apart. So this time we bring the hands onto your right knee, and this time it's the left leg that we unfurl. You might notice a difference there as you circle the foot there. Maybe one leg feels a little bit more receptive to that stretch today. Take that little twirl around in both directions, and then again, a little pointing and flexing, free up through the ankle joints. And then again, you might want to bring your left elbow down to the floor, ready to catch underneath the thighs. You take that left leg out nice and wide, and you can just let that right knee swing open as well if that feels comfortable, only if that feels nice. Begin to just stretch that left heel away from you. If that's a little bit too much, then just relax your foot. But if you can, we push the heel away from you, which just increases that stretch on the inner thigh. And again, hopefully the back doesn't take too much strain there, but obviously you can bring the legs back to your chest at any time. And then we'll come back through center. And this time we'll cross left leg over right, or again, just keep the feet and the knees apart as you bring that right foot down to the floor. Arms out shoulder height. Nudge the hips to the left this time. Just move your bottom, and then we tip the knees to the right. So again, if that's pulling on the back, we can uncross the legs, take the feet nice and wide apart, and just tip them gently over to the right. If we want more, we just slide the knees a little further up towards your chest, and maybe use that right hand to guide them down. So the closer the knees are towards our chest, the higher up in the spine we feel that rotation. So kind of let that be a little guide to you when we're coming into twists. A couple of breaths there. You might notice again that one side feels a little different to the other. Lovely. And then we release that right hand if it's holding onto the knees, so you can bring the knees back to center. Uncross everything. Bring the feet down to the floor. Just bring your hips back to the middle of the mat. Arms down alongside you, palms down. And just take one shoulder bridge there just to release the spine. So push the hips up towards the ceiling. You might just pause at the top of that little shoulder bridge there, just to elongate through the front and the back of the body. Then as you roll back down this time, you're going to roll onto one side, left or right, it really doesn't matter. Just rolling onto one side, knees curled in towards the chest. And then taking your time, just coming up onto all fours. Take your time because we've been down on the floor for a while, so we don't want to get giddy. So take your time just to come onto the middle of your mat with your hands under your shoulders, knees underneath your hips. So Jan, I hope your back is okay. So hopefully this will release a little bit. So if anyone does have any tightness in their hips or the back, you might want to have your cushion to hand, because you can always take a child pose with a cushion between your heels and your bottom, and it just gives you a little bit more height to your hips there if your back is tight. So you can have that to hand. But just for the time being, we'll have the hands planted under the shoulders and the knees underneath the hips. Push into the hands so we feel a little bit of strength between the shoulder blades. Gazing towards the top of the mat. Let's start that little pelvic tilt again. So this time we tip the tailbone up, drop the belly, keep pushing into the hands as you just ripple the gaze forwards, not
throwing the head too far back. Lovely. Take a nice breath in. And then that angry cat, rounding the back, dropping the gaze, keep pushing into the hands and the knees, spreading between the shoulder blades. So you just roll with the breath now. We can have a little play. You can take the hands wider apart to accommodate tightness in the shoulders. And really listening, again, that sense of embodiment that comes with somatic yoga. If it feels nice to hang out in one of those postures for a breath or so, really stretching between the shoulder blades, or if you find that sense of tipping the tailbone up in cow pose with the belly dropped, if you get that nice squeeze of the shoulder blades together, opening the chest, if that feels nice, feel free to hold for a breath or two rather than moving with the breath. Really see how that feels today. You might have a little experiment holding in your cat pose. Take an inhale and exhaling into that little dip of the back. You know, that changes the expression completely. So have a little play with that. Just do a couple more. You might just want to stick with what you know, inhaling and exhaling as you ripple between those two movements. Lovely one again, just to open up some space in the back and the front of the body. And then we'll find a nice neutral 4-point position. So somewhere between those two extremes. Try and keep that neutral position now as you begin to glide your hips back towards your heels. You can always pop again that cushion just between heels and bottoms. So really try and keep that neutral spine as you glide your hips back. Come back onto all fours. And then this time take that nice angry cat. So round the back up. Keep that rounded and do that same thing. Sit back towards the heels, but try and keep the back rounded this time. Inhaling, come forwards, back onto all fours. Neutral spine as you exhale, glide the hips back so we don't drop the head. We try not to round the back. We try and keep that position as long as we can. Inhaling back onto all fours. Round the back, exhale, then we sit back. We'll do once more, so just notice the difference. And if one feels far more comfortable than the other today, stick with that. If you're with me, we'll do one more, each one. So we glide back, trying to keep that neutral spine. Lovely. And last time, inhaling. And as you exhale, I'm going to come back with a rounded back, but choice is yours. We'll all meet in that child pose. So option to widen your knees slightly. Slide the arms forwards. And bring your forehead, if you can, down to the floor. If not, don't worry. You can always stack your fists or rest one hand on top of the other. If your forehead is touching the floor, have a little rock from side to side, a little soothing of the brow, a little massage across the temples there. Lovely. And then as we come back to stillness, let's have a little experiment with where we want the hands to be. So we can flatten the palms down, allow the elbows to drop down, so there's a sense of softening the armpits down towards the floor. If you want a little bit more energy today, try lifting the palms up onto those little tented fingertips so the elbows lift, the forearms lift. And that's far more energizing. So just see again, where do you want to be tonight? Do you want to be in that more relaxed child pose or up on fingertips, breathing a little bit more space and stretch into the body? Wherever you are, just take a couple more breaths there. Again, acknowledging the fact that the lungs sit quite far back in the body. So breathing into the back of the body. And then if you're up on those little tented fingertips, just allow your palms to drop down and reach your right arm just back alongside you, turning the palm up towards the ceiling. And try and stretch your fingertips back beyond your right toes so you're drawing your shoulder away from your ear. I'm just going to lift my head up so you can hear me, guys. So keeping that left hand where it is, come up onto the knee. So it's like a three-point position this time. Slide that right arm forwards and up, circle it all the way up. And as you sit back towards your heels, we stretch that right arm all the way back down alongside you. Fingertips are reaching back beyond toes. So inhale, we slide that right arm forwards and up, big circle. You might follow the movement of the hand with the gaze and then swim the arm all the way back down. We'll do that twice more. If it's too much with a straight arm, just bring your fingertips onto your right elbow and just circle the elbow. Let's do one more big full rotation. Inhale, circle the arm all the way up. Exhale, let's sit back on the heels and we'll meet there, that right arm reaching back behind you. Lovely. So this time we'll come up, slide that right arm forwards and up, and then we'll pause in that twist. So that right arm will reach up towards the ceiling. Looking up towards that right hand if you can, take an inhale. And then feed that arm through as we thread needle, sliding the back of the hand away, coming onto the side of the head and the shoulder there. Just bringing that left hand just alongside the face so you can push into that hand and begin to lean a little bit into that right shoulder. So you're looking towards your right hand there, right arm threaded underneath. So again, we can stay there. Or if you want it a little bit more, if you want to challenge a little bit of your balance today, left leg, slide it back behind you. Coming onto the ball of the foot, stretching the heel away from you. And again, if you want a super challenge one, you just lift that left leg. So it might be a little way, you might lift it up hip height, toes face down towards the floor, not forgetting that lean into that right shoulder. If you feel wibbly wobbly, just tuck the knees up and roll onto your side. Slowly, slowly, let's lower that left foot. Push into that left hand, and as you inhale, take the left arm, right arm all the way up. And as you exhale, bring the hand down and both knees back underneath the hips. Lovely. Inhale. As you exhale, glide the hips back towards the heels. Try and keep that neutral spine. Inhaling back onto all fours. Exhaling, rounding the back, and we pause in that child pose. So again, you can pop that cushion underneath your bottom, between bottom and heels. And again, we find that expression of child pose, sliding the arms forwards, resting the forearms down. You can even, if your back feels tight today, try taking the elbows out nice and wide. So there's a softness there. That's a lovely one just to release the upper back. Have a good play there for a breath or two. Again, option to energize, fingertips pushing down, upper arms, hugging the ears. So again, that expression of where your body wants to be tonight. So if you're up on your fingertips, let's drop down onto the palms. And this time it's the left arm, we swim back. So the palm is up towards the ceiling. Stretching fingertips back beyond your toes, keeping that nice long neck. Ready for that swimming cat, as it's called. So as you inhale, we rise up and slide the fingertips along the floor, taking that left arm up in a big circle before we exhale and lower that hand all the way back down alongside the leg. So inhale, you might follow the movement of the hand with the gaze, so we're getting a little bit of movement through the neck, or just keep the gaze down. And as we do this a couple more times, just notice, again, does this side feel different? I know that one side, my shoulder feels far less open to that rotation than the other. Let's make this the last one. So nice rotation. And we'll all meet hips to heels, reaching that left arm back just beyond you. Fingertips lengthening beyond your toes if you can. Ready for that little thread needle. So this time we'll reach forwards and up as you inhale, turning the chest up towards the ceiling, and exhale, feed the left arm underneath. So we slide the hand away. Just take your time to ease yourself down, and then adjust, right hand alongside the face so the elbow's pointing up towards the ceiling. So you're looking towards that left hand now, left arm threaded underneath. Take a little lean into that left shoulder, and that might be more than enough tonight. Or this time it's the right leg, so it's the opposite leg to the arm you've got threaded underneath. So it's your right leg. So be really careful, slide it back, ball of the foot plugged in, heel stretched away. That little balance challenge, you just lift the leg. Lift it up. A little bit of wibble wobbles, you can always tuck and roll. Slowly, slowly come down. Push into that right hand as you inhale, take that left arm all the way up, and exhaling, hands and knees underneath shoulders and hips. Beautiful. So let's tuck the toes under, walk your hands back towards your knees, and everyone's favorite, see if you can sit up on your heels. Now if that doesn't work for you, come onto all fours, stretch one leg back behind you, have a little rock back and forth on the ball of the foot, and then change sides. But if you can, we're just sitting on the heels, you might have a little rock side to side. You might take a little lean back, so you're stretching out all of the fascia of the feet. And I know I get really tight in my feet. So it's a bit of a Marmite pose. Any ballet dancers in the room might be hating and cursing me at this time, but I can't hear you. So we'll just stay here for a breath or two. Oh, lovely, lovely, beautiful. And to stretch out through the feet. And then slowly, slowly pad the hands forwards. There are some people who just, that's absolute hellish. Flatten the feet, give them a little shake. I'm sorry if you're one of them. So this time we'll keep the feet flat. Walk your hands back towards your knees. And then from there, we'll just rise up. So we're in standing kneeling there. Beautiful. And then we'll just step your right foot forwards. So you can slide it forwards with your knee above your ankle. Lovely. So we're in a nice low lunge. You're going to inhale and sweep the arms forwards and up. And as you exhale, cactus the arms, lift the chest, maybe lift the gaze. As you inhale, we reach forwards, palms facing inwards. And as you exhale, we draw the elbows back and lift the chest, that little cactus through the arms, lovely, we'll squeeze the shoulder blades. So again, we're getting that rounding of the back as you inhale and reach forwards. And that lovely sense of squeezing the shoulder blades together in that cactus, lovely. We'll do that once more. So inhale and reach forwards. And exhale, we do that little cactus, lovely. This time as you inhale, reach forwards, maybe your palms touch. And then we'll arrow the arms up towards the ceiling. You can always separate the hands if that's more comfortable. See if you can drop the shoulders, soften the rib cage and push into that front foot and that back shin quite actively. So we're not slumping there. So feel a little bit of engagement there. Again, that sense of embodiment. Beautiful. Stretching through all four sides of the waist. And then we'll bring the hands down just onto that right thigh. And see if you could just slide that right heel forward so the leg is straight there. Take a nice inhale. And hinging from the hips, just want to slide the body forwards into a little hamstring stretch. Pause there. Now we might want to keep the hands exactly as they are above the knee. You might be able to bring them lower down. You might even be able to bring your fingertips onto the floor on either side of that right heel. See if you can just square your hips and your chest up. I know I tend to swing over to one side there, so see if you can square everything up. And those who want a little bit more, your right hand clasps your right toes and just see if you can draw the toes back towards your face. So you're getting a stretch once more again through that band of muscle in the foot as well as in the hamstring. Lovely. Just pause there for a breath or two. So remember, the higher the hands are up the leg, the more kind of control and softer you'll feel that stretch. Lower the hands, hands on the floor, you're going to find that much deeper. Beautiful. And then let's see if we can release the hands, bend that front knee. So you're bringing that right foot down to the floor. I'm going to suggest you tuck your left foot under, pick up your left knee, take a little wiggle back with the foot, and then bring the knee back down. So your knee is well behind your hip there. Flatten your back foot, bring both hands to the inside of that right foot. And just turn your right toes out to the side ever so slightly. And then very gently, just allow that right knee to swing open. So a little variation of lizard pose. Just begin to explore dropping your weight forward. So we're just dropping the top of that left hip down. You might just want to bring your left hand to the floor and your right hand to the inside of that right knee. So we begin to turn the chest up towards the ceiling as you ease that knee away from you. Now, this is my really tight hip today. So this kind of feels enough of where I want to go. If you want to come down further, you might bring both hands down onto the floor, drop down onto your forearms, and just allow that right knee to hinge open. So all of those choices are yours. I'm going to keep my left hand on the floor, my right hand on the knee, just gently easing it away, but feel free to come down onto your forearms. Wherever we are, let's bring both hands down to the inside of the foot. Just square up the toes to the top of the mat, and then we'll slide that leg back. So we're back on all fours. Tuck the toes. Walk your hands back towards your knees. And this time we'll come into standing kneeling with the toes tucked under. Lovely. Reach the arms out forwards, level with the shoulders with the palms facing in. Take an inhale. And as you exhale, we lean back. Lovely. Keeping a long shape through the body. So it's almost like a plank of wood leaning back. And as you inhale, reach forward. So we're not dipping or hinging from the hips. Lean back a little way or a lot. Choice is yours. Inhale, come forwards. So deep stretch for the quads, front of the hips, front of the thighs. Lovely. Let's do just once more. So don't squeeze the bottom and engagement through the core, so we keep that long line through the body. Lovely. We'll come all the way up, flatten the feet. And this time it's that left foot that you step forward. So help it out if it needs a little helping hand, and then you can adjust so we've got the knee and the ankle stacked, ready for that lunge. So inhale, we sweep the arms up. And as you exhale, a little cactus, so the elbows draw back, the chest lifts, maybe chin lifts. Inhale, reach forward, the palms facing in. And as you exhale, a little wave of exhale just draws you back. Lovely. It'll squeeze the shoulder blades. So you'll notice I'm adding a little pause just at the end of each breath. So I'm just kind of suspended in that pose. So it's kind of less flow and more feeling. Let's do that once more. Oh, lovely. So this time as you reach forward, you might bring your palms together. They might not get there. So as you arrow the arms up, feel free to separate the arms so they're just about shoulder width apart. And think about softening your front rib cage. So just draw your navel in so we're not overarching or flaring through the ribs. I know I'm a devil for doing that. Lovely. Then as you bring the hands down just to the top of that left thigh, so you can slide that left heel forwards. Take a nice inhale, and hinging forwards from the hips, we lean the body forwards. Again, option to slide the hands down below the knee or fingertips to floor. And again, take a moment there just to adjust that position so you're relatively square to the top of the mat there. And if you want more, that left hand cups around the foot, drawing the toes to your face, so you're feeling perhaps a deeper engagement that instantly stretches out my hamstring a little deeper there. So wherever we are, just take a couple of breaths there. Just coming back to the words of that poem, where can you let go, making sure your shoulders haven't tensed. You're not clenching your jaw. And then we'll release, bending that front knee. Bring the foot down, hands to the inside of the foot. Again, I'm just going to suggest you pick up that back knee, have a little slide back with the right foot. So when you bring that knee down, the knee is well behind the hip. We'll just turn the left foot out slightly, allow the knee to hinge open, and this side instantly, to me, feels more spacious. Quite incredible how one-sided we are. So again, the option, you might drop down onto your forearms. If you're on your forearms, make sure that your weight is even on both arms there. It's very easy just to lean into that right arm. If, like me, that doesn't feel comfortable today, right hand stays where it is, left hand to the inside of the knee, gently, again, without force, turning the chest, maybe the gaze up towards the ceiling. And again, that sense of dropping the weight down into the front of that right hip, so you're getting a nice stretch across the front of that right hip and the inside of the left hip. Ooh. Lovely. And then we'll bring both hands back on the inside of that front foot. Turn all of the foot forward, so you've got your foot facing forwards, left foot facing forwards, ready to slide that knee back onto all fours. And just for a moment, let's take the knees wider apart there. Take the hands a little further forwards, and just an easy circle of the hips there. I can really feel my right hip today. I don't know what I've done to it, but it's super tight, so I'm feeling that will help. Really nice just to get in there. Whoa. And take that around the opposite way. It might be more of a figure of 8. It might be a small movement, might be a bigger movement, whatever, again, feels right for you. Lovely. And then we'll just come back with the hands under the shoulders, walking your knees back underneath your hips there. We're going to come to seated, so you can either just pop your bottom to one side, or if you're more flexible in the ankles, we cross the feet. As you sit back on your feet, you roll back so you can pop your feet out in front of you and come to face you. You just love it the way yoga teachers say that. Just pop your feet out and stand on your head. If you want to pop a cushion underneath your bottom or stretch the legs out, please feel free. I'm just going to do a little bit for the neck and the shoulders there. So let's sit up nice and tall. Feel again that you're not over extending through the chest. So soften the rib cage and drop the chin down towards your chest.
Now, as you drop your chin down, try and pull your chin back towards your chest. So trying to give yourself as many double chins as you can. You never thought you'd hear me say that, did you? And then slowly, slowly, let's just lift the chin. So only taking that as far as comfortable. So it might just be a little lift of the chin away from the chest. Some of you might be able to drop the head back a little further. Lovely. Let's do that once more. So really slowly, try and avoid dropping the head too far back. It's really not good for us. So chin drops down, pull the chin back towards the chest. Give yourself as many double chins as you can. And as you pause over your chin drawn back, try and draw your shoulders back. Yeah, so as you pull your chin in, draw your shoulders back. And again, that instantly, kind of, I can feel that across my collarbones there. Try and keep the shoulders back now as you lift the chin. And again, try and avoid dropping the head too far back. Keep squeezing the shoulders back, lift the chin very gently. And then let's bring the chin parallel to the floor there. Slowly, slowly, so you're scanning the horizon. Let's take a look over the right shoulder. Try to avoid dipping the chin. I mean, as far as feels comfortable, we'll come back through center. And then over to the left. So trying to keep the shoulders square to the front of the mat. Let's do one more each way. So that tends to be as you look towards the right, that left shoulder wants to roll inwards. So consciously draw that shoulder back. We'll do just once more, turning to the left and drawing that right shoulder back. Lovely, come back through center. And this time, right ear towards right shoulder. Right ear towards right shoulder. And back through center. And other side, little tick-tock. Ooh, see how that feels? Good, must be that feels tight. Another one over to the right. Something's going on in my right side because again, I notice instantly that this side feels so much tighter. All the way back through center. One more over to the other side. Beautiful. Come back through center. We bring the hands just onto the rib cage, fingertips face forwards, and try and squeeze your elbows towards one another. So that really opens up through the chest. And again, you might just want to lift your chin, just again, avoid throwing the chin back, to getting a lovely stretch across the chest. And that's quite a deep work across the shoulders there. Fingertips facing forwards, elbows squeezing together. Beautiful. And then slowly, slowly release. Reach the arms out nice and wide, take an inhale. And as you exhale, wrap one arm on top of the other, fingertips to shoulders, and drop the chin down towards the chest, maybe a little rounding through the back. Inhale, take the arms out nice and wide. This time as you exhale, can you bring the other arm on top? I always get into such a pickle doing this. I don't know what that says about my coordination. So inhale, open nice and wide, maybe get that lovely lift and openness through the chest. Exhale, arms cross, elbows drop, chin to chest, lovely. Inhale. This next time as you exhale, bring your right arm on top of the left. Right arm on top of left. Lovely. And then lifting the elbows away from the chest, just coming up to seated again. So you're lifting the chin. And if that's a little bit too much to keep your hands on your shoulders, just bring the hands down, maybe just to hold your elbows. Lovely. I'm going to start to twist from side to side, keeping the head moving with the arms. So we're turning the chest and trying to keep the chin just moving with the arms there. So we're not turning the head further than the arms want to go. So that right arm is on top. So the next time that you've taken that little twist to the left, we'll pause and bring that right hand onto the top of the left knee and bring that left hand just behind you. I'm going to come up onto tented fingertips again so I can push my fingertips down, lifting up tall through the spine and rolling that left shoulder back. Maybe begin to take the gaze over that back shoulder. And that hand on the thigh or knee is gently drawing the knee down. So I'm finding some space in the top of the hip there. Lovely. Then if it's comfortable, slowly bring the head back to center. And then maybe look over the opposite shoulder. So we're bringing that twist higher up the spine. If that doesn't work for you, keep either looking forwards or over that back shoulder. Lovely. Slowly, slowly, let's bring the head all the way back so we're looking over that left shoulder. Now keeping that right hand, just gently anchoring yourself down, let's reach that left arm all the way up and over.
So we're getting that delicious side stretch, leaning over towards the right, but at the same time stopping that knee from popping up towards your armpit there, encouraging it to stay all the way down. Lovely. And then slowly, slowly, let's come all the way back through center. Bring the hands behind you so you can lean into the hands. And if you've got your legs crossed, give them a shake and then recross them with the opposite leg on top. Lovely. Sitting up nice and tall, take an inhale as you reach the arms out nice and wide. And as you exhale, one hand crosses on top of the other, chin to chest. This is called the caring breath. It's a lovely, lovely idea, isn't it? Caring breath. A bit of self-care for us this evening. So this next time, let's check that we've got the left arm on top of the right. Left arm on top of right. And then we lift the elbows. They're more or less level with the shoulders. Again, you can just loosen the hands just so you're holding the elbows if that's a little bit too tight. And again, we start that little, almost like a little Cossack style dancing. So imagine your chin more or less stays above that little notch in your collarbones there. So we're not swinging the head back. So this next time that we're twisted to the right, we'll pause. So that left hand comes to the knee or the thigh, and that right hand comes behind you. Again, you can come up on that little tented fingertips if you've got shorter arms like me, and it just stops you from kind of slumping and leaning into that arm. That hand behind me is like a second spine, keeping my spine nice and tall so I can roll that right shoulder back. And my neck feels okay, so I can take the gaze over that back shoulder, but if that's too much, then again, just look to the side or straight in front of you. And again, if the neck feels okay, you can even add that little head turn, looking over your left shoulder, only if that feels okay. Lovely. And then slowly, slowly, we'll bring that gaze back through center, back over that right shoulder, left hand just gently anchoring you down. So as you reach that right arm up and over, that right knee isn't going to pop up towards your armpit. So again, we've got that sense of space and lift. So really think about lifting up and out of that hip as you take the arm overhead. Beautiful. Slowly, slowly, let's release. Bring the hands behind you so you can elongate the legs, giving them a little bit of a shake. And we'll keep a softness in the knees now as you reach the arms all the way up. Take an inhale. And exhale, lengthen the body forwards. Be in no rush to find that forward fold. So allowing the hands just to drop. Maybe they're quite close towards you. Maybe you can bring them alongside your shins. Maybe again you can take the hands over your toes and use that as a little bit of traction to draw the body forwards. But think about these forward folds as a prelude, a precursor to Shavasana, relaxation. So forward fold should be soothing, not a great effort. So if it is feeling that it's an effort, drop the hands back a little bit. So again, where can you let go? Maybe it's nothing physical, it's that kind of mental attitude that you must do more. You must manifest each posture to its maximum. Maybe just let go of that expectation. It's okay to have the hands just on the floor or just alongside the knees. Just allow the head to hang. You can even just let the head shake a little bit just to release. And if you're holding on to your toes, just allow your hands to come down to the mat. And as you slide your hands back towards you, we can begin to rebuild the spine. Slowly, slowly. Bending the knees, bringing the feet to the floor. Coming down onto your backs. Arms out, level with the shoulders. And we'll take the feet nice and wide this time towards the outside edges of your mat. And just start to tip the knees gently from side to side, rolling onto the inside edges of your feet. For some reason, I like to pick up my toes and just rock on my heels here.
I don't know. It's just nice to play. It's just a really lovely, soothing one for the spine, and these rhythmical, breath-led movements, again, are very soothing for the nervous system. Again, that breath, the anesthetic of the body. Lovely. So making that movement slower and slower until finally we'll all meet with the knees just pointing up towards the ceiling. And from there, you can either just simply knock your knees to touch and lower your arms, just so there's a little bit of space between your body and your arms. Or you can very slowly extend one leg and then the other. Have a little flip-flop through the feet if you're taking that full expression of Shavasana. So you can release tension from your ankles, your hips, and then allow your toes just to flop out to the side. You might need to pick up your head and just draw your chin gently down towards your chest, so you're just resting on the very middle, the back of your head there. You might want to just tuck the shoulder blades underneath you so you can broaden the chest. It's all those micro movements that make Shavasana that much more comfortable. It is a posture after all. And when you've made those adjustments, closing the eyes, and letting go of something, somewhere. And just checking in with yourself, is there tension? Longing for release, and not so deep and familiar you believe it's part of who you are. Ease into those dark corners, gaining entry not by force or will, but only by softness. Entering into those pockets of tension on the wings of breath, to let go of something somewhere. Softening your face, relaxing your jaw. As you turn your attention to your breath, allowing the chest and the ribs and the abdomen to move naturally. Allowing that rhythmical nature of the breath to take over as inhalation and exhalation just flow effortlessly into one another. As your muscles begin to relax, so those nerve impulses travelling to and from them decrease. Mental activity begins to slow down. A message of relaxation spreads through the entire nervous system. And gradually, it takes time, it takes practice like any posture. Those tensions that have crept into your body and your mind begin to release.
Slowly just beginning to deepen and lengthen the breath. Try and keep the body still just for a moment. Allow the breath just be the only thing that begins to change. Notice how that deep inhale has an energizing and reviving quality, while that exhale still gives you that sense of release, relaxation as you begin to bring movement back into the body. Keep it gentle, maybe just fingers and toes, maybe the head. Just rolls gently from side to side. Everything easy. And if you want that lovely sensation of unfurling, reaching the arms back behind you, lengthening out through the legs, coming into a very gentle full body stretch. Again, we never kind of do our maximum effort after Shavasana, just see it as a kind of exploration, a reawakening, how the body feels after that practice. When you're ready, bring your knees one at a time in towards the chest, giving them a little squeeze. And sometimes the body just wants to stay there in stillness, and sometimes you almost get that impulse to move, just to massage out across the buttocks and the back. And then again, where there's space to the left, to the right, just roll into that space and just linger there for a moment, for a breath or two with the knees towards your chest in that little childlike position. Choosing the path of least resistance to find your way to seated, so use your hands to help you. In a comfortable seated position. Somewhere where you can feel balanced and grounded. Really important, it's a full moon tonight, so feel really grounded across your sit bones before moon madness takes over. Let's bring the hands to the heart. As you drop your chin to your chest, again, just reminding ourselves that our issues lie in our tissues. Worth remembering to stop, to pause, just to check in with ourselves on a regular basis, asking ourselves how we're doing, where can we let go. So namaste, thank you for your practice. Thank you. Unmute everybody.